You're a God of miracles. You're a God of faithfulness. You're a God of peace. You're a God of holiness.
After we become born again, and after we come into a relationship with God, the only way to become one with Him is by spending time in His presence, by worshiping Him, by talking to Him, because He is your best friend. The next thing that we need to have in mind, it is that He created us to fulfill an assignment on this earth. In order for us to fulfill that assignment, there are things that are really, really important, and are wisdom, discernment, timing, and location. When God wrote down your assignment or my assignment, He wrote down location, He wrote down timing. And many, many times we do not understand how important discernment is, wisdom, location, and timing. It is always in His time. It's never in our time. That you have a plan for you and your family, that in your mind you are prepared for war. Because it's going to be a spiritual war that we have never seen before. That's why it's so important for us to have discernment, wisdom, to know God's timing, and where do we supposed to be. One of the things that the Lord was talking to me about is to tell you, and when I say to tell you, is to tell myself, that the company that we keep will greatly impact our destiny. I'm going to say that again. The company that we keep will greatly impact our destiny. When we have been called to the ministry, everyone has been called to the ministry. But when you know that it is time for that assignment to start producing for the kingdom of God, you need to be careful who your friends are, even family, co-workers, because you cannot take a chance to be around people that will destroy God's plan and purpose for your life. Many times these people are jealous, but many times they don't even know what they're doing because they are part of Satan's agenda for your life. That's why every single day you need to pray and ask God to remove from your life anybody or anything that is obstructing your destiny. God has given all of us gifts. And God is telling you today, be careful the way that you use your gifts. Remember, those are gifts that come from God. You and me are only a steward of those gifts. I pray that this word destiny or assignment will go so deep inside your heart and your being that you will from now on keep focused on fulfilling your destiny, listening to God, what He wants you to do. And I'm going to tell you something. Usually, it is not what you're doing, because I've been there. Not because it is a good thing, it means it's a God thing. Not because it is a good thing, it means that there is a God thing. And we need to only, I'll tell you this, only by the grace of God we will make it. Because there's so many distractions around us, especially If God has a specific assignment for you where you're going to bring, let's say, hundreds or thousands of people into the kingdom, the enemy will use whatever he can to distract you from that assignment. He was telling me to tell all of you, including me, that the things that he permitted before, that he will no longer will allow it. He was telling me about us taking our time, making decisions without consulting God. I was listening this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning to a prophetic word. And this man of God, he's from another country. This man of God says to be so careful with the people that you are around, that it is better to be alone than to be around people. You only need in your life one bad connection to destroy and lose everything that God has for you. So remember, the grace and mercy that was on us before is not going to be the same way now. And God is talking to us and telling us the things you did before. So when you start seeing all this mess in your life, remember one of the prophecies says, there will be no prayer to take you out of there because you have been in disobedience. There is no prayer. That this is scary. We're not talking about anything else that we are in the last days. One of the things we need to know, okay? One thing is for you to hear me saying it, but for you to process this inside is that you need to know that you are not to take any decisions. Do not make decisions in this time. And remember that your life is in my hands. He said, during this time of divine transition, this is changes. This is unknown. We don't know what's coming. If you do not have discernment, you will not be able to go through these changes that are coming. You will not know what to do. You're going to complain. You're going to say, why is this happening to me? Okay. And what is discernment? This is something that one of the men of God from the past, Spurgeon, wrote. Discernment is not knowing the difference between right and wrong. I'm going to say that again. Discernment is not. It is knowing the difference between right and almost right. When I saw this, I said, wow, because this is what it is. It is not right and wrong. So it's knowing the difference between right and almost right. When you have discernment, when you're a person with discernment, it means that you are spiritual mature. And this example that I'm going to give you, you'll know because we all been here. When you don't have discernment, you marry the wrong person. When you don't have discernment, you start the wrong business. Carnality, when we do decisions, when we make decisions on our own, carnality can never serve spirituality. People that are out there talking about other people, exposing pastors, exposing prophets, always fighting against each other, they do not have discernment. If they really understood that the only way for people not to be deceived is by having discernment. In other words, it doesn't matter how much I talk about a pastor or a prophet or an evangelist, nothing is going to be fixed And then we need to understand that the only reason, it's because they lack discernment. If you don't have discernment, you're still a babe. Galatians 4:1. It says, now I say, as long as the heir, you and me are heirs to the throne, is a child, he does not differ at all from a slave, although he's owner of everything. I'm going to read it again. I say, as long as the heir is a child, he does not differ at all from being a slave, although he's the owner of everything. Okay, let's say you are a billionaire and you have a child, but he's a child. So because he's a child, he does not understand that he owns everything that you have. And for us, because we are babes that still drinking milk, they haven't chewed meat, the meat of the spirit, for a long time. They don't grow. They don't know how to fight. They don't know how to trust God. They're always afraid. And yes, there is fear. But when fear paralyzes you, just think about that one. So who's your king? Who's your Lord? Oh, what about? Oh, I love God, but okay, this is me. I said, Lord, how can I trust you with my life, but don't trust you when you tell me to do something for you? How can you say that you trust God, but are not willing to take a step of faith? Something is wrong. And I say that to myself all the time. How can I tell the people how much I love you, but I am paralyzed with fear and I don't do what you tell me? At the end, I'm going to end up in a bad place. One mistake without discernment can destroy a generation. One mistake without discernment can destroy a generation.